like me. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, connection or no connection today. A painful confession today in that I am so guilty of today's topic, and it just makes me realize it's time to wake up and do certain things differently. Our topic today for both the supersize challenges was, are you in the trap of measuring things that don't really matter? We're talking about contribution all this month. So with respect to contribution, a lot of the impact that we have by the actions that we take or the outputs that we usually measure are not measurable. They're not quantifiable. How do you quantify if you positively impact and change someone's life with something you did or said or in some way help them? How do you quantify? And you don't, right? How I do it is I keep a journal, and I keep it in my gratitude journal, or I keep it in my awesomeness file. I have an awesomeness file. Why? Because we all have ups and downs in our life and in our days. And sometimes we just need to go back and look at the things that have gone really, really well for us. So in there I have like certificates and awards and positive feedback from other people, etc. Stuff that makes me feel good. And many of those things are just a handwritten note or a handwritten card, right? And I know I keep those because we all need things like that to reinforce when something that we don't think is good happens to us. Now, I've come to find out doing the Lifeline exercise and some of the other things I share that actually the things that I thought were the most devastating and worst at the time turned out to be some of the best things that ever happened to me. Just had one of those recently. It was like, oh my God, this happened. And I was really mystified and sad about it. And I was going down that negative rabbit hole. And then after a few days of that, I'm going to admit, I spent a couple days in it. I realized that it was there to show me what I wasn't doing that I needed to do. And really, I just needed to follow the process. And I wasn't following the process. And my ego wasn't following the process because I wanted to reinvent the wheel like I tend to want to do for everything. And it's so unnecessary. If a problem has already been solved ad nauseum, like millions of times, and there's a proven path to that, why on earth would I think I need to create my own path? Well, the same is true of today. And today, this is why it was really an eye-opener. It's about the inputs that we put into things or our output, measuring those instead of measuring the impact or the real results of the things. Now, a lot of the things that we do, and I'll give you my example. My example is I create videos every day. I do not track the results of those. I track a couple of numbers, but for the most part, I don't, because I know that I have no way of measuring and knowing the actual true impact of doing a video every day. I know that if you do one thing every day for a year, you're a totally different person than you were at the beginning of that year. And in a good way, because we're not going to do anything that makes us worse, right? Well, some people do, but I'm not going to work with people that do that. I work with people, and I myself am trying to do something every day to move me in the direction I want my life to go. So I had to admit today that I just created this new worksheet and tracker for myself. And you can see it's a work in progress because I'm making some changes in how I show up. Mostly in how I show up on my Supersize Your Business video. I'm trying to do it in a more structured way so I can get search on YouTube and all the things, right? All the things that don't really matter because it's chasing a number. If we're chasing a number, especially a vanity metric, which this is new for many people, if I am looking at likes and follows and things like that on a social media platform, and let's use school as an example because I'm building a school community, as are many people that I know. Literally 200,000 plus people are building school communities right now. And a lot of things people chase are how many people are in your community? How engaged are they? I think one of the biggest complaints I hear from other school owners on the platform is that their community's dead, nobody's engaging. And I gotta tell you, it tripped me up, but it reminded me of early on in my Italian food manufacturing days. I used to commiserate that nobody worked as hard as I did. And nobody was, trying to be efficient and effective and make the business better. Guess what? It wasn't their business. Why would I expect my wants and desires to be other people's wants and desires? They're not. Each of us have what we're going after and what we want. And when I let go of that false belief, because it was truly a false and limiting belief, expecting anybody else to build your business for you is an absolute exercise in futility. The only one that's going to build it is you. Maybe if people had equity in it, they would. But if people don't have ownership in something, they're just going to put in their time and Some people that are more internally driven and motivated will contribute more, but for the most part, you have to be the driving force of the things that you're building and creating in your own life. I know. Who knew? Well, we all should have known, right? But nobody teaches you that. Nobody hardly ever says, okay, get your head out of your nether regions because you're thinking this way. What if you think this way? And it's so powerful when you interact with people that will actually do that for you out of the intention to help you and make you better and help you get what you want, instead of, criticizing, tearing down, calling it feedback. And really, it's just criticism in their opinion. And I especially now just laugh at people that give me their opinion about something I'm doing that they are not doing or have never done. Really? You've never done this, but you're going to tell me I shouldn't do it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for the feedback. So a little eye-opening today. We started this super framework in the Supersize challenges, both for Supersize Your Business and Supersize You. And we talked about specifying your targets. So, of course, I use my famous backwards written artwork because I like it. I am a prime example of do what you can with what you've got right now. And we all are different. We all have different talents and abilities. And we all have different challenges and roadblocks and setbacks and obstacles that we have to overcome. Mine just happens to be vision. And so as a visual person, it's really challenging to have actual physical crappy vision. But I make do and I figure it out. And I've even learned to write backwards. I would say one of the best things that came out of the pandemic, besides online shopping and delivery of groceries to your front door and things like that, because they could never, my sister and I were talking about that yesterday. She's like, oh, they were doing that before. I'm like, they were trying. I said, nobody had actually figured it out and made it profitable yet. But COVID forced that, which was good. That was a good thing. I don't have to spend 2 hours a week in the grocery store. Thank you very much. And then the other thing is personal development, growth, and learning, and just having to figure stuff out. That's not what I was going to say, but that's all I can remember right now. So I'm going to put my bullseye back. And I encourage you to think about the things you measure today and how they matter to your purpose and why you're here on the planet. It's a good time during Contribution Month to ask yourself these tough questions. I know they're super hard questions. It took me like 40 years plus, actually. It took me 50 plus years to figure out what the heck my purpose was and why I'm here. All right. I have got a super busy day because I'm not going to change my even though I know it's outputs, the reason I'm not going to change it is because I know those are outputs I personally need to do in order to get the results I want in a certain area and aspect of my school, community, and business. So even though I now realize I'm just looking at outputs and I really need to look at the impact of the outputs and if they're really getting results or not. If I'm doing something every day and it's not getting results, because these are the things I'm challenging myself to do every day, then I need to do different things, right? And that's part of what I'll find out by tracking it. I love measuring things and tracking them. All right, that's it for today. If I can help you in any way, just reach out and ask. Always have an awesome day, and I will, of course, see you tomorrow.